Hello and welcome to Learn Channel, the show dedicated to learning and development. My name is Drena and I will be your host for today's episode. We would like to start off with a famous quote by Jack Welch. Before you are a leader, success is all about growing yourself. When you become a leader, success is all about growing others. Leadership development strategies should be high on the list of priorities for any organization, especially businesses that rely on efficient management teams. Our topic for today is preparing future leaders, and we will discuss it with our expert guest, Rami Busbait, who is the head of talent management in Aramco Trading Company and a certified career counselor by NCDA. Rami is a member of the advisory board of the Human Capital Club in Prince Sultan University and also a panel member in SHRM Special Expertise Panel. Rami, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you in our show today.
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Organizations need to ensure that key skills and invaluable business insights are shared and passed down to prospective leaders to avoid gaps in knowledge in the future. Rami, can we start by expanding a bit more on the importance of leadership development?
Of course, Jenna, it's really important to have leaders developed. This is why you need to help leaders understand, especially the emerging ones from them, to understand their responsibilities. Understanding the responsibilities means that you need to hold them accountable. This is why you educate them about the important aspects of leadership. You teach them, you develop them. The other reason for that is you need to give them interpersonal skills. Interpersonal skills are important for leaders on every aspect, going up with senior leadership, or going down, managing people, or even horizontally when they deal with their colleagues. They need to do a lot of politics. This is why they need interpersonal skills. The third and most important factor of leadership development is to keep those talents within the company, because that's a strong factor of retention as known in many aspects of HR.
Is it easier for HR and training managers to identify leaders from within or hire externally?
Actually, this is a very important question, and I've been in some companies, new companies and old companies as well, to understand this. If you go to new companies, then you don't have a choice. You need to hire from outside. Also, when you create a new sector within the organization, also you need to hire from outside. But also, there is an opportunity from within the company if you establish the leadership program early. Otherwise, the only source for you is to hire from outside if you don't have that internally. But it is always recommended that you have your own development program for the leaders, especially for well-established companies.
What challenges are companies facing when it comes to hiring and training talent?
Also, this is an important question. There are three challenges that are faced by companies. The first one is going digital. When you go digital, that means that you need special skills. A lot of companies now are struggling because more companies and more processes are getting into the digital aspect. They are digitizing all of these processes. This is why you need special skills. If you don't have these skills, then you need to acquire them from outside. The other thing is that when you go digital, some of the people will have to leave the company, or probably you need to reskill them into other jobs. The second challenge is transitioning to global diversified business model. When you do that, then you will get into diversity issues, you will get into global competition with other companies globally on your talents. And that's the third aspect or challenge faced by the organization, is the competition for talents within the organization and even globally. So these are the three major challenges faced by the organizations, and you see them every day in the current and for the future as well.
What are the factors that affect these challenges?
Okay, there are three important factors that affect these challenges. The first one is technology, and the second one is data analytics, and the third one is dealing with the new workforce. Let me speak about each one of them, because each one of them has its own importance, and I want to shed light on each one of them. The first one is technology. There are so many factors in technology where we can help in identifying leaders. The first one is the automation of processes, screening candidates, the candidate experience as a whole, especially if you are trying to attract the top talents to be future leaders. The third one now is coming on the surface, which is the chatbots. This is a great automation that you see, especially in the candidate experience in the beginning, where you go to a website, the chat bot will take your information, and then it will do all the screenings and it will walk you through the candidate experience. Also, the L&D programs, there are a lot of chatbots that can help you and guide you to choose the best training for you as a leader. We'll talk about this later, but I just want to give an intro now. Also, the second aspect of technology is learning solutions. There are so many solutions now that will help you to do your TNA or the training needs analysis. Also, one of the solutions is artificial intelligence, where artificial intelligence helps in jobs and skills, hiring the right talents, learning solutions. And when combined with chatbots, it can have a great combination that will help the businesses in selecting and also developing the right talents and the right leaders. The third one is performance improvement solution. That's a third one of technology, and we see the emergence of blockchain. Blockchain helps in improving and verifying candidates and degrees. They also help in the global talent competition. It's a great tool that is used now by so many businesses. The second one is data analytics. From those factors that help in identifying the leaders. Data analytics now is emerging. It helps in employee skill improvement. There is a recent study by Harvard Business School where it says 36% of executives mentioned that they will be automating jobs. That means that we're going to reskill employees for those automated jobs. So if you have a lot of automated jobs within the company, you need to shuffle your leaders and not lose them to the market. As we said, there is a great global talent competition. Also, in the employee skill improvement, it helps, the data analytics will help the expertise from and to the world. It helps in the global exchange. So if you are running a global company, you want to exchange your talents within the company, then you need to analyze the skills that you have within the company before shifting your employees from one location to another. Also, data analytics helps in what actions to be taken. It means analyzing skills, trends to cope with global business, retaining employees, you need to do the analysis on retention to predict the retention, to predict when people leave the company and or keeping them within the company. The third one is dealing with the new workforce. This is one of the factors that we need to focus on because as we emerge, we have the Generation Z, Generation Y, and we have to deal with them differently. We need to first manage our talent pool. There are a lot of targets now for women emerging into the workforce, a lot of diversity initiatives within a lot of governments, within the companies. There are government regulations. You need to enable women with new skills for new jobs. You need to enable them as leaders and with the globalization. We need to understand also that also according to HBR, Harvard Business School, Harvard Business Review, 1.3 billion young people are joining the workforce. I mean, globally. This is a huge number of young people joining the workforce, which demands that we deal with them differently. Also, we need to create supporting policies to deal with the new workforce. We have more people looking for new opportunities. We have also the gig economy, what they call the gig economy, where we need to create gig jobs, as they call them, where you go and create some tasks and give them to temporary workers to execute them from outside. Also, we have HR policies supporting diversity and inclusion. We have personalized and relevant benefits. The old benefit packages that we see in the past might not work for the future generation. We also need to deal with the workforce differently. We need to have faster and different succession planning process. Those young people cannot wait for years until they become leaders. We also need to manage gamification in learning, which is gaming and within learning. We also need to introduce more mobile solutions for job application, for online collaboration, even for learning through the mobile devices. That's what I wanted to say on this point, Jenna.
HR leaders sometimes face certain biases when dealing with these challenges. Can you elaborate a bit more on that?
Yeah, Jenna, this is funny because sometimes people try to implement, let's say, technologies or do data analytics, but forget about small things that can affect and what we call them the biases. For example, in technology, artificial intelligence can be trained to think like human, but it cannot replace a human. There is what they call the designer bias, where in artificial intelligence you put the wrong assumptions, but with what you get is a wrong outcome as well, because the machine is a machine. You put assumptions, you get what you assume. Also, and that depends on the designer, what the designer puts. There is a wrong assumption as well in technology. Decisions can be aided by AI or can be made by AI. Actually, they are aided by AI, but the humans need to make them. The machines have artificial intelligence, but we have, as human, emotional intelligence, and that's different. We need to think about it this way. There is also another bias, what we call the data analytics bias. If you don't have enough and sizable data about your population, how can you make the right decisions? Sometimes you feed the wrong information, so you get the wrong outcome as well. similar to the artificial intelligence, because data analytics is also another form of technology done differently. Also, people are afraid of, when you do a lot of data analytics, you invade their privacy as well. There are a lot of things that you need to focus on in terms of avoiding in data analytics. There is also a new workforce bias. We talked about the new workforce. There is a bias around it where a lot of people, for example, focus on diversity, not necessarily hiring women, but maybe hiring different ethnicities, but not focusing on hiring the right candidates or the competent candidates. And that affects business in the long term. Also, sometimes you find in different countries or different companies, there is a job dominance for certain jobs, for certain genders. Let's say people working in the field or working in plants, mostly people think that this is a male job, while this is not a male job. It can be occupied by any gender. So not all jobs are for certain genders.
What changes should the HR function implement to support overcoming these biases and challenges?
Yes, to support these overcoming challenges or biases, you need to, HR leaders will need to create new HR jobs. New HR jobs will emerge, such as the employee experience specialist. Now we have to have a specialized person to manage the employee experience. We also need to have the head of candidate experience, not only the employee within the company, but the candidate coming into the company. Also, the HR data scientist. A lot of people or a lot of companies do not have that role now. But data analytics is coming into the business and it is needed. So a lot of companies will have to put this role in mind. We also have the head of talent acquisition technology, because most of the technologies now, as we see, is for talent acquisition. We also have now a new trend, which is work from home. So you need to have a work from home specialist. This is one of the jobs that are now coming into the surface, especially after the pandemic.
How can HR and training managers develop a good leadership development strategy?
That's a little bit complicated question, but simply it can be answered this way. You need to start with your HR strategy for the company, which is aligned with the company strategy. And then you need to create your talent management strategy based on your HR strategy as well, and then align the leadership development with those talent management strategies. So you start from the top, you look at the company strategy, and then you go down into the HR strategy, and then talent management strategy, and then you develop your leadership strategy. The skills that you need to develop in leadership development must be agreed by top management. You need to align them with the company values as well, and make sure that those future leaders really represent the company values and identity.
In an interview for Forbes Middle East, thought leader and executive coach Abdulaziz Al-Rumi said, "Data and artificial intelligence will be solid tools for any organization in order to create solid leadership behaviors in the leaders of the organization. They need to be embedded within the organization's HR as well as the business side and sales." What is your take on this?
There is a use of what they call now the personal learning cloud, where they can use components from the cloud to apply them to individuals or teams. That's a form of artificial intelligence which can be used to change behaviors and train leaders using bite-sized training. This is a new trend that is coming into the market, and it helps leaders in developing them. The companies now, they can select the right skills for the right leaders within the company based on the internal analysis, based on the assessment that they do for their leaders. They assign the learning for them to be able to develop them properly. With the help of technology, with the help of AI, all of this can happen. And there is a lot of research on PLC, which is Personal Learning Cloud, going on now, because most of the solutions that we see with companies now emerging are developing solutions on the cloud to help companies develop their leaders and their employees.
Any final remarks for our viewers?
Well, Jana, I think with the technology now coming into the market, really employees and leaders need to rethink about those technologies and educate themselves about these technologies. If you look at your job in the future, as for example in HR, then not all of the jobs will be available. People will need to think differently and learn new skills and be ready for the future. If they don't be ready for the future, then their jobs will be in danger. So people need to rethink, reskill from now and prepare for the future.
Rami, thank you for sharing your insights. It was a real pleasure having you on the show.
The pleasure is all mine. Thank you for having me.
We want to thank our viewers as well for joining us. Make sure to tune in every day as we go live with a different topic every broadcast. You can watch a recording of this episode or other shows on our YouTube and Vimeo channels. If there is a topic or a trend that you are really passionate about, do let us know and we will try to bring you fresh insights with our team of experts. Until next time, stay tuned.